Welcome back, everybody, to the Hearthstone Grand Prix at DreamHack Austin 2016. I'm joined by a special guest and Dog as we get ready for round number 8. Dog, you are a big fan favorite for a lot of people. I think over the 1.5 years since I saw you try to qualify for BlizzCon 2014, you've had a wonderful journey to climb to where you are right now. I think a lot of people are really wondering, like, how's life been for you? Because, you know, everyone saw that you, at first when you were playing Hearthstone, you're like a medical student, or you're trying to apply to med school, and now it seems like Hearthstone's really taken over your life, and you've really taken off. So just give me some thoughts on how life has been since getting to that point.
It's been pretty good. I just kind of like stream all day, have fun with my viewers and chat and all that. Like, I really, really like streaming. If I wasn't streaming, I don't really know what I'd be doing aside from like school stuff. Playing in tournaments is
you mean
fun.
getting
traveling.
your life together?
Yeah, you know,
and
actually,
doing the real life responsibilities.
Real life stuff doesn't seem like that much fun.
Yeah, it isn't. Compared to
but,
getting yogged on stream, right?
yeah, exactly. So I've just been streaming and I don't know, playing games, I guess.
Sounds good. Well, sounds like the life. I do want to ask about your thoughts on the expansion. People look to you as being one of the primary deck innovators. Have you been having fun a lot with Wizards of the Old Gods? And if so, like, what's your favorite part about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've just been kind of throwing a bunch of random stuff together, and I really like combo decks, so I always just try to make like really gimmicky combo decks, and those are always fun because you always beat control decks with combo decks, almost always. So I usually just play around with that, and there's still like a ton of OTK combos in like Hearthstone. So I really liked that. Like the meta did get slower. There's only like 1 or 2 aggro decks, so I really like that, and there's like a lot more room for like innovation in like the combo aspect and like the control aspect almost.
Cool. What's been your favorite deck, like Dog original deck? Maybe someone else has done something similar, but in terms of like you thought and you put it out there and you're even streaming it, what's been your favorite original Dog deck?
Well, it's gone now, but it was Concede Mage.
Oh, with the duplicates.
Yeah. It would basically annoy your opponent enough to where they would concede, or you would lose and concede before they kill you.
Gotcha.
That's perfect.
Okay. Right, 100% win rate across the board, except for the mirror, right? 50-50. But what about Whispers of the Old Gods? Have you been able to come up with anything fun yourself that you feel like has been really entertaining so far? Maybe in terms of the sheer value of fun to play, not necessarily competitive.
Fun to play? Not really. No, I've just kind of just put stuff together. Like I make like really ramp heavy druids a lot of times, like now that you don't need Astral Communion because you have like Mire Keepers now, so you can like ramp up really high. So I usually just play like the most greedy druid list there is. It runs like the 12-12 with Death Rattle or whatever and a ton of dragons.
Oh, Deathwing?
Yeah. And
cool.
you get that out, and
That's
then
sick.
like you can, it even has like N'Zoth in it, so it just like summons a bunch of stuff. It's like any control deck you play against, you win instantly.
That sounds really ridiculous, but pretty fun for sure. Talk to me about like the journey of the stream. I think a lot of people are looking at trying to like engage more with viewers, and some people want to stream themselves. What do you think has been the key to success for you to break as a streamer? Because these days you're killing it, man. You're like one of the top streamers on Twitch and for Hearthstone regularly, and people love your stream. Roo.
Yeah, the Roos. Those are good. Yeah, I don't know. I like looked at all the streamers, and I kind of like tried to say like what aren't people offering and what do people like. And I mean, initially I was just like really good at the game, right? So that's why I started streaming, because I was like, look at this scrub, he's just playing arena all day. Trump. so then I was just like, all right, I'll stream like ladder, because I was like the only legend player. And then suddenly like my stream grew really fast. I got like 1,000 viewers in a week, and then from there it was like a really slow process because I was in school. But after that, I kind of just like started relaxing a little bit, took the more kind of casual approach, but still a little competitive, you know, and made fun decks and, I don't know, have fun. Just chill on stream. Now
you're competing pretty regularly and you're streaming a lot. I mean, I kind of want to ask you, do you consider yourself still like a competitive player, or you're kind of like, because right now Hearthstone's pretty much what you're doing full time. Is it like something that you're willing to continue to explore, like being more competitive? Because you are going to tournaments, like I see you at Insomnia, you're here at DreamHack. Well, meanwhile, some people, like you mentioned, Trump, they're at home streaming and they're not necessarily competing all the time.
I think I will always remain a competitive player. I don't know. I don't want to be bad at the game, so I'm just constantly gonna like. I hate it when people call me bad, so I'm always just like constantly trying like.
No, you can't say that. You're giving Twitch chat the fuel. They know your weakness. The greatest kryptonite to Dog is Twitch chat. All right, let him know, man. He's a good player for sure. Dog, you have a great amount of accomplishments. You have won some tournaments. You also have gotten really close. The last time I saw you at a DreamHack too, and well, not necessarily the last time I saw you, but the last DreamHack you went really far and you got second. That burned you at all? The fact that you're like, oh, so close to winning DreamHack Summer last year. Now that you're in a position to maybe hit top 16 again and go far, does that motivate you at all? I
mean, yeah, I want to win a tournament really badly because I haven't won like a really big major yet. I got second in that one, and I was like really happy because like I didn't really ever perform very well, and that was kind of just like an ego boost to myself. The last tournament I played in was also Swiss, and I got second in that.
Okay.
So now I'm just going for the win. And
Yeah.
I mean, consistency is good. So obviously, if I get like top 16 or something, I'll be happy or content at least.
Cool. I do want to ask you also about like what's your time been like on Liquid. It's been a relatively new experience. I know you've been with your Complexity boys for a while now. Just of course, every time you guys see each other, you talk so much about decks. But no, how's it like being on Liquid with Sho and Savitz and hanging out with them?
It's great. I mean, I can't forget Nyria. I talk to Nyria like a ton. He's like super smart, super good. He helps me with decks all the time. It's really nice. I mean, Liquid just treats me really, really well, and there's not much else to it. I talk to Sho, I talk to Savitz. It's really nice having like friendly teammates. So
that's good. Well, I guess the last question is, how long will it last, Dog? We don't want to lose you to med school. I mean, you could either be saving us from the aggro on ladder, or you can be saving lives, literally,
which is
with
more
your own
important,
hands.
though.
I mean, it's debatable. You're helping thousands either way. You know, how do you see this journey continuing on through 2016, going into maybe the next year and so?
I'll stick to it. I mean, I'll be streaming a lot, having fun, going to tournaments. It'll be a good time.
Sounds good. Sounds good for sure. All right, well, that's all the time that we have with Dog. We're going to get ready for round 8. You can definitely cheer on Dog. What's your Twitter? Let them know to follow you. Actually, I've been saying that for a while.
Liquid_HS Dog.
There he is.
Yeah.
Complicated, but then again, it's a treasure hunt, and it'll be worth it at the end. Thanks so much, everyone who's tuned in. We'll be back with round 8 for the DreamHack Grand Prix. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Facing the enemy, we prideful gladiators. Show them that they came to die. Let me hear your battle cry. To die, let me hear your battle cry.
Welcome back, everyone, at the DreamHack Grand Prix here in Austin, Texas, with me, Kibler, and Lothar for round 8 of the event. So far, we've already done quite a bit, and there's only one player left who's undefeated so far in the event, and that is Peyton, a player who's actually been doing fairly well for himself in the event. He defeated the last player who was 7-0, and we'll see him play against Terrence.
Yeah, this is going to be the battle for the final undefeated spot here. You know, as you said, Peyton, the only undefeated player, and he will be playing Terrence M, who we saw have a little bit of an interview earlier on stage with Frodan.
Very competitive player. He played a lot of TCGs in the past, Yu-Gi-Oh, and he mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh,
Yeah,
if
he
I
did
remember
mention
correctly.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
And MTG, of course. So, because everyone played that at some point, and he was also attending DreamHack Winter, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it didn't go too well for him, but this time around he's got another chance to maybe, you know, kind of defeat some of the bigger names out there. I mean, the brackets are stacked. It's a great event to prove yourself in, and because it's, I want to say, like one of the biggest events that we've had since the standard rotation, having a great result in the event is something that you really want to see happen. So I wonder if maybe, you know, it's kind of his big breakthrough. As a player that we don't really know about. As the second game that we've got for you guys, we've got a backup game with Ostkaka versus Ant, a player who I haven't seen since, you know, I guess, ONOG, ESL. It's been a long time, right? Like, he's done a lot of ESL finishes, but besides that, it's been kind of missing in action.
Yeah, and we are getting into very nearly the final rounds. This is round 8 of
indeed.
9 for the Swiss rounds. So this is going to start to shape up our top 16 here. Peyton at 7-0 already is very likely already pretty much a lock. For the top.
Actually, there's no chance he will not be in the top 16.
There could be some weirdness with tiebreakers if he did lose 2 in a row. It's possible. There's the mathematical possibility, but very, very likely that he'll make it.
It's kind of peculiar that we'll not have an undefeated player in the Swiss, right? Because usually how the Swiss works is if everything goes fine, there's one player that will be undefeated after the
it could be Peyton.
Right?
It could still be Peyton, given that he is 7-0. If he beats Terrence, he'll bring his score down to 5-2, and then, of course, he'll be at 7-0. 8-0, and then, I mean, with one round left, I guess all the players who are kind of in the middle of the pack are feeling pretty anxious about their ability to get to the top 16, and you can tell when you talk to the players. They don't seem that confident in their ability to keep in the top 16.
I mean, we've seen, you know, a huge number of players who had excellent performances to start, but pretty much all of them, with the exception of Peyton, have faltered at least 1 point so far. So definitely, you know, just a couple rounds left to go to see who does make it to the top 16.
Which is not a big deal if you lose like once or twice, right? You have still the chance to redeem yourself. That's the beauty of Swiss. I think it's way better than double elimination.
No argument there. I think from a competitive standpoint, I think it's pretty obvious. So we have the standings to show you guys to see what the scores are at the moment right now based on all the games that have been played so far. We see here at 6-1, we've got Jasm, Dart, Ostkaka, Pavel, and Frozen. Super JJ went down. He had a really hot streak, 5-0.
He was 5-0.
So yeah, a couple of tough rounds for JJ, though starting at 5-0, it's possible that if he does win his next 2 rounds, reasonable chances tiebreakers may make it into the top 16.
By the way, from those 6 players, I only don't recall one name. Jasm is new for me,
that
right?
Definitely, you know, a lot of quality players up there at the top of the standings.
So it's not, you know, there might be some coin flips lost, but ultimately, I guess the cream of the crop end up at the top in the end. It's not really surprising to see Ostkaka do well in the event. Peyton here with the 7-0. We've had 5 other players at 6-1 with Just Saying, Zalay, and Terrence M. And It's Flo. Flow is kind of a ladder warrior. You know, the kind of players who just plays very highly every single season, but that you don't hear about too much. You know, nobody's got eyes on him in the general scene.
It's great to see Zalay so high ranked right now. I mean, all of those. This is top 12 that we're actually seeing right now.
Right.
So all of those guys, if they win one more match, it's almost certain to advance into the top 16,
it'll be
right?
very
But
hard.
the players that are out of the top 12 here still have a high chances to advance to the top 16 because this will change a lot. Like half of those players will now lose. The other half that we didn't see from the top 24 then will advance to their position, basically, if they will have their tiebreakers. So the last round will be decisive for the people that we didn't see in this top 12.
All right. So we'll be hopping into the game real quick. Here we'll have Kibler and Lothar casting it for you guys. So enjoy the show.
Yeah, it does sound like we actually may have a little bit of technical difficulties with our primary match. We're going to be jumping into the secondary match.
Which
there's some login issues the players are dealing with, but we'll get a match to you between Ostkaka and Ant very shortly.
Kind of too bad because I did want to see Peyton. First of all, he's from Team Celestial, right? He's from China, so there's always something wacky in those decks. So it's like, you know,
Crazed Alchemist? I mean, we saw it first in China, right? It was a Chinese deck that came out with it in the first place.
Yeah, but they always have something kind of different from the European region, from NA. In general, they also favor aggro decks. That's at least my impression.
So I am very excited to see Ostkaka play, in particular to see Ostkaka's Druid deck, because we did hear that Ostkaka felt like his Druid deck was his strongest deck, and he actually apparently argued that he felt it was the strongest deck available in this format.
Well, that's very interesting to hear, because from what I have talked with the players, they all kind of think that Druid is really underwhelming.
Yeah, he's got a twist, though. I know the Druid list that he's running. Not every single card, but let's put it that way. He's playing an old god that nobody's tried to play in Druid, much, at least yet, so...
So, will Yogg-Saron?
No, that's been tried by Tars.
It's an angry one.
Well,
but an angry one is what I hear.
It's a very angry one.
A very angry one.
It's an angry old god. Some of them are nicer than the other one.
Maybe it's the blood of the ancient god.
No.
I hear the Miracle Rogue with Blood of the Ancients is doing pretty well in ladder these days.
I have
At least like over there in the break area.
Oh, it's actually not half as bad as it looks. So, I mean, going back to the end, like, it's a player that we haven't heard much of, and I feel like it really harkens back. Like, this whole event has been kind of reminding me of the earlier days of Hearthstone, where it was basically down to all those open events like DreamHack. You had, like, ESL series where every single top 8 finish, King of the Hill. Those meant a lot. You don't really have too much of these anymore. It's nice to see Hearthstone going back in that direction and some older names coming back in.
Yeah, well, when you think about it, the schedule of Hearthstone events in general is so stacked.
Yeah.
You have so many events, so many big tournaments, so many online cups being played all the time, even if you just play it for points, basically, right? Yeah. RDU, an example for my team, is just playing always something. Like, when I talk with him, yeah, I'll play this.
Doesn't matter which event, he's just going to attend it. Yeah,
and
it
it
makes a lot
works
of sense, right?
because he has 46 points.
The more than we do.
season.
I mean, you don't end up with a bad cutoff at the end of spring season, and then summer points are given for the event you attend. You don't get ruined by that, so yeah, it's pretty good for him. So that being said, guys, we have the picks and the bans for the next game that's coming up, and we'll be taking a look at them just to make sure that we know what's going on. Ostkaka with the Mage, Druid, Shaman with the Rogue ban, and I don't think... You know, Rogue being bad is very much of a surprise.
Yeah, we've seen Rogue. Yesterday it actually stumbled quite a bit, but we saw Frozen earlier today with a dominating performance with that Rogue deck. Definitely one of the major players in this format. He does have that Shaman deck, which many players have anticipated as being sort of a leading deck as well. And I am really interested to see that Druid.
Yeah, I'll hope that Ostkaka will actually open with the Druid. But that kind of depends on what did he ban from his opponent, right? What is his deck? What are the classes that Ant did pick? There's a Priest, Warrior, and a Warlock, and Shaman is banned.
I've actually seen more Priests in this tournament than I would have expected. Priest is a class that a lot of players feel is a little bit awkward to position correctly. You need to really have a very good sense of what the metagame is to build your Priest deck correctly. It has lots of very particularly targeted, very situational cards, and you need to know what to include if you're playing it in a tournament like this one. A very aggressive format, you can play all this AoE, Shadowed Pains, things like that, but it can be difficult if you run into the wrong classes and the wrong kinds of decks.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, one card that I really like in Priest currently is Excavated Evil, because it kind of messes up your opponent's decks as well.
Yes.
Usually, they don't want to see the Excavated Evil in their hand, right? It's just, why would I need that against the Priest, right?
Sometimes, though. We saw earlier that Eloise had a few unfortunate Excavated Evil that ended up turning the game her way. But yeah, very often you're hoping that the Zoo player gets it at the worst possible time off a life tap, and then it helps you just get to that next turn as Priest. One of the things, too, is that the Shaman, the ban that was made, like the decks that remain may all be very control-heavy. And if the Druid list that I've heard about from Ostkaka is what I expect, then that Druid should be able to sweep.
And here it is, the Druid deck. So exciting to see this here. So the names are swapped there, but that's Ostkaka playing the Druid deck, Ant playing what looks to be his Warlock deck, another Crazed Alchemist.
Just wanted to point it out, yes.
In that opening hand.
You're correct.
So,
the Crazed Alchemists are like all over the place.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Super JJ was surprised to hear that Tiddler was playing with Crazed Alchemist, and I imagine there are lots of players who may have thought that this was sort of their secret tech, and yet it's showing up everywhere.
Well, that's very good factor to see. Like when many players are bringing the same tech to the tournament, that means that tech is actually really interesting.
Yeah,
interesting and powerful choice, right?
Definitely it showcases that they all have the same idea of what they're trying to get out of it. It's like okay, well, we lost Ironbeak Owl. We don't have the ability to easily deal with Doomsayer with the battle cry of this. And we expect Doomsayer to be popular because of Freeze Mage, because of the N'Zoth Paladin decks. We need something to deal with it. It's like, oh, well, Crazed Alchemist.
Well, also when you think about it, it's great against shamans because it kills their totems,
Yes.
right, immediately. And also, which is, I think, kind of underrated with the Crazed Alchemist, is the fact that it turns into a additional PO, from the Councilman.
Yeah,
right.
the ability to swap Councilman for extra damage, because the battle cry happens first, then the trigger happens.
Yes.
It swaps it from a 1/5 into a 5/1, then makes it a 6/1. So it's actually even a bigger boost than a Power Overwhelming would be straight up. So we are into the game here, though. Ostkaka is going to answer this Voidwalker immediately with a Wrath.
So he plays around the Abusive Sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so.
Doesn't want to lose his Darnassus Aspirant potentially to an Abusive, which Ant does have in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And this actually leaves Ant with not the most exciting of openings. The Direwolf Alpha here, not exactly a superstar,
The
but
Flame Jugger would have been way better because it doesn't die when it trades with the Darnassus Aspirant, and the Darnassus Aspirant is crucial for Ostkaka in this case because otherwise he is not curving well, right? So based on what he did turn 1 with the coin Wrath, I would say that he will probably go for the Wild Growth instead of the Darnassus Aspirant because he wants to be sure to be curving out,
well,
right?
here with the Wild Growth draw, he's able to force his opponent to trade into the Darnassus Aspirant and then play the Wild Growth next turn, potentially. And if his opponent does leave the Aspirant up, he could theoretically play the Summoner. But either way, he's able to get to that mana boost with the Wild Growth and gets to remove his opponent's early bird with the Aspirant.
Okay. Well, that actually happened now, and let's see what will be the response from Ant. His options are limited. I mean, Direwolf Alpha and Abusive Sergeant basically...
The Abusive Sergeant leaves open the possibility of life tap here, so he would be able to actually get a little bit more resources, but that also leaves him with just a 1 health minion in play, which Ostkaka could clearly just remove with his hero power. So he does just go with the Doggy, and does end up killing Ostkaka's extra mana crystal, but Wild Growth here will potentially allow Ostkaka to continue his ramping. Though there is some argument, potentially, to using your hero power and attacking the dog, because you can actually finish it off next turn and Wild Growth, but no, goes ahead and gets his ramp on.
Well, he can actually use the Android of the Claw with charge just to kill the dog next turn and basically acts like a 4/4 taunt.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Forbidden Ritual, off the top for Ant, does give him 4 tentacles that will give him quite the board presence right away. A second Wild Growth, not exactly what you're looking for at this stage if you're Ostkaka.
Yeah.
I have to imagine the most likely thing we see is Druid in charge form, because as a bear, it would just eat 3 tentacles and then die.
Yeah, that's not optimal, I would say. As Wild would have been a gift from heavens for Ostkaka, but now, because he doesn't have that in his hand, he needs to rely on that Druid of the Claw, and as you said, the charge form is way more important than anything else. He also used 1 Ref already, so the double option is kind of... They are limited in this deck right now to get the benefit from the new Druid Legendary.
Yeah, this is still, while Ostkaka had said that he felt like his Druid deck was potentially his strongest deck, he's still playing Druid against Zoo.
Yeah.
It's still, this is historically a matchup where the Zoo deck has been quite favored, simply because it's able to use attack buffs like this Abusive Sergeant we see here to exchange its small minions up the curve into the big minions, and a card like Sea Giant there, that swipe would have been great last turn to prevent the Sea Giant from coming down,
awesome.
but it's already in play. There's already an 8/8 that's going to survive with the backup of those Doom Guards in Ant's hand as well.
When you think about the matchup, like as you said, historically it's not the best matchup ever for Druid, but he lost Keeper of the Grove, and when I'm playing Zoo, I always keep Swipe, even if I'm on the play, because it's so important just to get rid of those. Before Standard it was Implosion, now it's the Forbidden Ritual, but also the fact that Big Game Hunter now is practically not seen in the Druid decks anymore. You don't have any way to deal with those huge minions, which is, in this case, Sea Giant, right?
Yeah, Sea Giant is a real problem for Ostkaka here. He can swipe it and leave it at 4 health, which is, he's gonna go ahead and Wild Growth, ramp his mana up a little bit, get some damage on that Sea Giant, but it still has 4 health remaining, and perhaps more importantly, 8 attack.
The 8 attack and the Doom Guard that will be most likely played this turn adds up really quickly.
I mean, that's 13 damage. That's literally 2-turn lethal right here from Ant, if he just goes ahead and plays this Doom Guard, which I have to imagine he will.
The clock is fast. I don't feel like tapping and playing, Peddler first and then tapping would have been better. Than just the
there it
Doom
is. The Doomguard comes in, and this is 13 damage to Ostkaka's face here, and he does not have much time. He needs to draw something very big right now. Well, that's something very big.
Yeah, it's very big, but
that's not going to cut it here.
Oh
And,
my
we're
God.
looking for, whoa, Old God.
Oh, wait.
He nearly escaped conceded, but then he drew Mulch.
okay, I didn't anticipate
right.
that. Mulch.
He almost conceded the game, but then drew Mulch. This is actually...
And he has Innervate
Yeah.
for a god
He
next
can
turn.
play Yashiraj next turn off of Innervate. He is still under a lot of pressure. A Kodo Rider.
A Kodo Rider, that's like... oh my god, imagine if there would be 8 mana for Ant this turn.
Well, he can actually just play Kodo Rider and Villager here, attack for 5.
Yeah.
And so he does still present the threat of lethal next turn. He attacks in for 5, leaving Ostkaka at just 7 life. Innervate Yashiraj could potentially get a giant taunt, but no. Ostkaka is just going to concede the game, so perhaps he has no natural taunts in his deck that he could even get. Possibly he
Druid
has
of the
Ancient
Claw,
of War, Druid
Ancient
of the
of War,
Claw
yes, exactly.
as his only possible taunt options, so there could be nothing he could get from Yashiraj that would save him.
Well, there's no point in playing Dark Arakawa in this deck, I guess, right?
It's possible. It's possible.
What do you play?
You know,
Is he playing
Sagoth
Cthulhu?
the Slitherer?
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Who knows?
Well,
But,
that was interesting. Unfortunately, we'll not see the Druid
I know.
deck
I
anymore.
was so excited to see Ostkaka's Druid deck that we had heard that he was so confident in, but unfortunately, it did go down to Ant's Warlock deck immediately in the first round here. So Ostkaka, he does have remaining Mage and Shaman, I believe, or his Rogue was banned. if I
His
recall
rogue was banned. There was a Shaman. Yeah, you're correct. And but now we'll see the Mage against the Zoo,
Yeah, and
which
this
has to
is-
be match up when you just pick Freeze Mage, because first of all we see the Flame Strike and Forgotten Torch and Novice Engineer. But even before seeing what the mulligan is, you can't really play a Tempo Mage into Zoo currently, because the matchup is just going to be so skewed in favor for the Zoo. It's basically the same as against Druid.
Yeah, so Ostkaka with the Freeze Mage here. Ostkaka did play Freeze Mage to his World Championship last year. He had quite a few impressive performances, including the ping self to survive against Tice,
Yep.
which was sort of one of people's highlight reel plays from that event.
That event was
That
hilarious when you
match
think.
is incredible. That match is incredible.
Yep.
But here he is up against Zoo, and this matchup is very much about just containing your opponent's ability to blow you up. it's very reliant on Doomsayer in particular, which we
Doomsayer,
just saw
exactly.
drawn. And we were just talking about the importance of all the crazed alchemists that we have seen in these Zoo decks, specifically as an answer to that Doomsayer.
Also, as you mentioned before, with the lack of silences in the current format, right? Doomsayer is just so common in many decks.
Yeah.
Like in just control decks, it's just a great answer as a removal in turn 1, turn 2, just to remove maybe minions with Divine Shields, maybe just act like a Time Walk, because your opponent will most likely skip playing his cards that turn.
I mean, just right here, I mean, Ostkaka could theoretically just, if he wanted to, play Doomsayer. I mean, this is a matchup where generally you want to try and get a little bit more value out of Doomsayer, potentially pair it with Frost Nova and be able to clear a big board. But he did potentially have the option to just play it there and hope to slow his opponent down, even if not removing a huge board.
Oh, well, that's the first Jaws I have seen in a long time.
The Gadget Zan Jouster, his mount rarely explodes. Very rarely, I'm told. And does win the joust.
Is he like the new pilot shredder? 'Cause he is actually like, piloting something.
He is piloting something. I don't think it's a shredder. I think it's a. I don't really know. I don't really know what it is. It's something mechanical, though.
Yeah. But it's not a mech.
No, it's not a mech. All right, so a Arcane Intellect for Ostkaka picks up a little bit more burn, and
But
Emperor Thorison.
But he didn't get what he needs, and the card that he is looking for is, as mentioned before, Frost Nova. This is something that he needs to get ASAP to get the most out of his Doomsayer. Before there's a chance to draw, I'm guessing, one of the two Alchemists.
Yeah, we haven't seen any player draw more than one Alchemist in a game, so it's possible this is a choice that players are including one copy of. But right now, we see the Power Overwhelming and the Doom Guard in Ant's hand. He has a lot of ability to generate burst damage and pressure, and without a Frost Nova, without some sort of freeze effect, there's no way for Ostkaka to actually defend this Doomsayer from dying to the board.
That's quite unfortunate.
I think he's just going to go ahead and use Forgotten Torch to clear some of that damage off.
Not a peddler.
But an Ant, he's not gonna mess around here. Just goes Doom Guard and attacks everything to the face.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
This aggressive stance.
Is, now Ostkaka is down to just 10 life, and he's gonna need to do something here to stem the bleeding.
That's not bad. You played Doomsayer, Iceland's the Doom Guard, and Frostbolt one of the minions?
Yeah,
your opponent has only 4 attack then.
Yeah, definitely an option here. We did just see the Power Overwhelming get pitched by Ant to that Doom Guard. So Ostkaka, has to be thinking that there's not necessarily that much availability for the ability for Ant to burst down the additional health of that Doomsayer.
Especially that he has only 1 card in his hand, and 1 card, unless it's a PO, it's not enough to kill the Doomsayer. So he would have to get a 1 or 2 Direwolves, Alphas, or Direwolf Alpha and Abusive Surgeon, or double Abusive Surgeons, because Defender of Argus will take too much mana to combine all those. Well,
but he does have the Dark Peddler in his hand.
Yeah, that's true.
There are the multiple things that he could get off Dark Peddler, including just another Power Overwhelming in order to clear a possible Doomsayer. But it looks like he's going to go with Frostbolt and then Ice Lance. He does choose to Frostbolt the Doom Guard, which does get 3 damage on it, so it softens it up for a possible Flame Strike in the future.
Which is unfortunately 2 turns away. Oh my!
Power Overwhelming right off the top for Ant.
Woo.
So it doesn't even need to fish with Dark Peddler. He has the answer to the Doomsayer right now. Oh
my!
Well, he fishes
then
and
the
finds
Great
a better
Alchemist.
one.
That's even better.
Yeah. So
well, when you think about it,
it's like an embarrassment of riches here.
yeah. Well, but the
Can actually
silence,
win the can actually just lethal.
if that would be a silence, he would just unsilence his Doom Guard.
Yeah.
And then PO, and that's basically
if he finds PO or Power or Soulfire, he actually just wins the game. He doesn't even need to kill Doomsayer.
Well, it's a moment of.
He's actually one damage off.
Exactly.
So yeah, the Alchemist does its job taking down Doomsayer. I like it. The amazing.
So, what do you think about just ice blocking, ice barriering this turn? And that's basically it.
The extraordinary. I like the WoW emote. I'm actually a fan, I have to say. It's pretty great.
/S.
No, I really do like it. I think it's fantastic. I've actually really enjoyed finding the different alternate characters WoW emotes. Like Magnes is by my beard. It's like, what? Okay.
That has to be used in the next adventure pack. The interaction between Sorry emote with Kel'Thuzad.
Yeah, Kel'Thuzad needs something he can say to WoW. I'm really disappointed that they didn't update that particular interaction with the patch. Blizzard, geez, come on.
It's a huge misunderstanding now.
So yeah, but Ostkaka, he can play Ice Block, Ice Barrier here. But, I mean, I think that if he did do that, there's really no reason to play Barrier because he still just dies.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah.
So he is just going to go ahead and play Ice Block Ping, saving his Barrier for the future. And he is clearly going to get his block broken this turn at 1 life. And there's that Elven Archer waiting in the hand.
Archer actually has so much value.
Yeah, it's actually great. It's lethal through the possible block. He can get Flame Striked, and then the block will just leave Ostkaka at 1 life. And then 1 shot, 1 kill. I think we may see that exactly that next turn.
Yeah. There's no. It has to be.
Yeah, you have. I
think
the only real option is Flame Strike here, because if you Frost Nova, you're just delaying the inevitable. He could Frost Nova Ice Block again, and then plan to Flame Strike the following turn.
But that's basically like saying, okay, I'll play around the Elven Archer.
Right, right, and then you're literally playing around exactly Elven Archer, because otherwise you just barrier. He is going to go for it. Oh
my god!
So here he's playing around the possibility of a charge minion, some sort of charge minion, some sort of direct damage. He knows that there's a Dark Peddler card in hand. This means he isn't dead to exactly this, Elven Archer. There it is, 1 shot, 1 kill. No, denied by Ice Block.
That's hilarious. That is actually hilarious. But now with Flame Strike, he has a chance to get 2 draws for Alexstrasza.
Yeah, so Flame Strike's going to come down. Played around Elven Archer, the world champion here.
Cool story.
He's still alive, and there's a barrier left in his hand too. So now, Ant actually needs 9 damage. People. Oh, no, never mind. Juggler.
The
He's
juggler
got one shot, and there it is.
winning after even a nerf on himself.
He didn't need 3 power there. He's got just the knives he can throw. Finished Ostkaka off. So that was definitely not a match that I think that Ostkaka was looking to lose there. The freeze mage against Zoo, usually what you're looking for.
But we have to say that Ant played it exceptionally well, especially Doomguard is something that not many players would have been doing in that situation, right? Because it's like kind of like a very similar to the situation when you just put the Ragnars in your deck, and they're great against freeze mages, but in this case it's a Tin 5 clock that is dealing the consistent damage, and because of these high HP points, which is 7, makes it very awkward for the mage to kill it. Because he would have to sacrifice a fireball and a ping, and then the rest of the board is still attacking him, stacking the damage. So it's adding up really quickly.
All right, well, speaking of damage adding up really quickly here, this is Shaman versus Warlock. And this is definitely a matchup that Ostkaka is not happy to be facing. Usually, with your aggressive Shaman deck, or even mid-range Shaman deck, you're looking to play against other mid-range, a little bit slower decks. Your burn damage, your minions, they don't stack up quite as well against Zoo.
Something that Ostkaka definitely doesn't want to see is Defender Vargas. This is something that just puts minions on 3 HP, which makes it very awkward for the Doomhammer to attack into it. And basically that stalls the game for such a long time. Shaman will run out of his resource, which is, in this case, HP points.
Yeah. All right, well, Ostkaka is starting off the game, and it's a pretty good opening hand.
It's a great opening hand.
He has a great selection of early minions. The Argent Squire and Flame Juggler both offer some good ability to interact early on, particularly with that Flame Tongue Totem as well. Tunnel Trog doesn't have any support right now, but is going to be the opening play regardless.
What do you think about Argent Squire instead? Because you have the Flame Tongue Totem, so you can kill a Flame Imp or the Void Walker.
Well, the Tunnel Trog actually matches up better, I think, against Voidwalker because it only loses 1 health as opposed to losing Divine Shield. Whereas if you play the Argent Squire and you have to Flame Tongue into Voidwalker, I think you're actually a little unhappy because you'd rather actually get the trade onto something a little bit larger with your Divine Shield. But this works out great for Ostkaka. He is able to clear off that Argent Squire with the Juggle and a hit from the Trog. There's a Flame Imp. Followed up by that Voidwalker, but this Flame Tongue Totem in Ostkaka hand is going to do a little bit of work.
Hex? Well, first of all, this is not a typical phase Shaman.
Yeah, this is clearly mid-range.
Yeah, and I think that's a great opportunity to clean up the board and set up a great aggressive board for the next turn when you trade Flame Tongue Totem between those 2 minions. Trog trades with the Voidwalker, then you trade the Flame Juggler with the Flame Imp, play Argent Squire on the left. You have a 3/1 Divine Shield minion for the next turn, which can get you additional trade. So it just builds up something that Zoo tries to do themselves, because they need to have board control to get back into the game. And in this case, Shaman is just doing the same job better.
Yeah, this is a great position for Ostkaka here. He does have these 2 powered-up minions from the Flame Tongue Totem that really make it difficult for Ant to develop much of a board. He can play that Flame Imp. It'll just die the Divine Shield on the Argent Squire.
Okay, great. So Forbidden Ritual seems better, right?
Yeah, though, making 3 or 4 if you use the coin 1/1s, it is reasonable. It can actually give you a board that's able to do something against what Ostkaka has in play.
I think
that's why you have to do
He's
going to make 4 tentacles here, and that's definitely a heads-up play. Playing either of his individual minions would just die to Ostkaka's board here.
And Ostkaka might ignore the minions because they basically you sacrifice 7 damage to the face just to kill 1/1 minions, which are not that important. You're still not playing around Defender Vargas. So if he ignores those minions, he will pay a high price because of Gormok.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely. Gormok is a real threat here, and he's going to go ahead and totem. He gets Healing Totem. So Healing Totem's actually really good here. It can help preserve some of the health on that the Flame Juggler. The real question is exactly what Ostkaka does decide to do here, because if he goes just straight to face, it would enable Gormok, but he does not. He decides to protect his Flame Tongue Totem by using both attacks into tentacles. So that's a very heads-up play from Ostkaka that I think a lot of players would not make.
Well, usually players are just kind of used to play everything to face with Shaman.
They're used to looking at Twitch chat and seeing missed 7 damage smoke.
Yeah, exactly. But for Ant is a very bad. That's a horrible position to be in, because now he doesn't have a clear way to kill the totem. But
Mortal Coil off the top. Well, off the top from
draw.
that peddler rather.
Discover is one of my favorite mechanics.
I love Discover. It is fantastic.
I hope that one time there will be something like a grave robber, which will be reversed discovery. So you discover your cards from your graveyard.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of like,
Discover a card you've played this game. Ooh, Bloodlust from Ostkaka here. That's pretty exciting.
Well, that's 12 damage to the face.
Yeah, I mean, like, missed 16 damage if you don't attack face this turn. Come on. But he does have the opportunity to use his hero power and play Thing from Below because of the reduced cost there, and I expect that'll be the play that he does make. Stoneclaw's a nice role for that totem here, and I'm curious to see exactly how he decides to attack, because he did play around Gormok last turn.
Yes. And if he will kill 2 minions, he will play around Gormok again. I'm not sure if he's playing just around Gormok because of that. Maybe he's thinking like about Defender of Argus.
Well, there'd still be a reasonable Defender of Argus play here on these 2 minions, though not really a ton of value because they'd have to attack into a 5/5. But Ostkaka definitely making Ant pay for that Gormok in his hand that really isn't having an opportunity to do much of anything.
It's like a bad Dark Iron Dwarf right now.
It's kind of interesting. Which do you want, the pump on the Councilman or the knife throw? Got to choose. Does decide to go with the knife throw, which softens up the Stone Claw. Could have potentially sniped one of those Argent Squires as well.
How much damage is that? That's 15, 20, 21, 23, 24 damage.
Close.
Oh, so if you get hero power from Finley next turn, that's game.
I mean, frankly, he could just throw all this at face here if he really wanted to. It would put Ant out of the ability to really use his hero power anymore. But I imagine he'll probably attack some minions.
It really depends on his deck. If he has a lot of outs, that will just deal 2 damage. So Lightning Bolt, Doom Hammer is kind of not that reliable because your opponent might just play Defender of Argus and somehow clear the board and still have a Taunt in the way, right? Within 2. Is it possible? When he has 6 mana, if he draws Defender of Argus and has a 2-drop, 1-drop, Defender not Abuse of Sergeant. Argent Squad would be like the best one. Still a possibility.
Yeah, he's going for it. He's just Bloodlust. He does not want to miss damage. Twitch chat will not tell him what to do. Just
when you think about it, it's almost like a double Savage Roar.
Yeah.
For 1 card, which is insane value, and also plays around a Flame Imp.
Yeah, this does strand that Flame Imp in Ant's hand here. He is able to Gormok and kill Thing from Below. But this will create a situation where Ant now can no longer life tap again, cannot play Flame Imp, and has to clear all of this, though he is able to clear this entire board.
He's able to do that. Councilman is such a strong card. He's
just a monster.
Impossible. It's kind of impossible to ignore. The power level is very similar to Floating Berserker.
Yeah, he does grow at a similar pace here, and there's Thunderbluff Elliot. Okay.
Well, your character is unfortunately not a totem, so you don't have +2 attack.
If only Thrall, had type totem, he would win the game on the spot. But I imagine we actually may just see Hex on the Councilman here, because what Ostkaka really needs, I'm sure he has so many ways. If he's calculating, okay, how am I going to win this game? He's got to have lightning bolts and things like that he may be able to, perhaps fire elemental, right? Things that can actually just close up the game on the spot. One more Smork Juggler will do it too.
But he played a second Flame Juggler already. This is the second one.
It's true.
So
it's true.
Kind of unfortunate because there were so many targets that would have died to this.
Right.
And the perfect scenario would have been to kill
the Hex.
The Hex minion, just to get it out of the way.
But now Ant is in position to, just keep clearing this board. Ostkaka does have 26 points of life to work with, but Ant has a pretty big board. Gormok is a large fellow here, and we're going to see the Possessed Villager. Will the knife take down the totem? Okay,
nope.
So that totem needs to die as well, because otherwise, well, I guess it doesn't necessarily need to die, because otherwise a
Air Shock.
Doomhammer is still going to win. Earthshock would win. It's true.
So I would say kill
Lightning
it.
Storm would win if the totem is up.
Yeah, there are too many options. You have to kill it.
I have to imagine that we'll likely see this totem die. There is the question of whether you want to kill it with Juggler or you want to kill it with the 1/1. To potentially leave yourself with more board room to get bigger minions that you could possibly draw.
I think
choose to
killing it
keep
with
the Juggler
Juggler
alive,
is
yeah.
better because you basically have the same attack next turn.
And Hex.
Hex.
All right.
Well, it kind of works here. You just
Yeah, you can Hex the 4/4.
and play your Kodo.
Yeah, it leaves your opponent with just enough damage to actually kill Kodo on board.
But that
or kill
plays in your favor.
It's
because
true.
You still
Yeah,
prolong
if,
the game.
If Ant needs to use all of his board to actually clear off your threat, though it does give him a second taunt, which
That's
makes
true.
which makes a Rockbiter less likely to win the game eventually, or actually means that Doomhammer isn't an immediate win if you do have that in there too.
Ostkaka might pay a really high price for his Bloodlust Greed.
Yeah, he did decide to go Smork for quite a bit of damage, but that was not quite lethal, and now Ant is still. Ooh, a
Well,
powerful
that is
whelming.
helpful.
Okay, that does mean that he can just throw a 1 minion to deal with the Thunderbolt Valiant here.
Unfortunately, it's a knife. Well, you can actually just play it on Abusive Surgeon, what I'm talking
Right,
about.
yeah, he can get Abusive Sergeant in to kill that, get 4 damage in, but then he's still 4 damage a turn.
It's not great.
It's not an incredible clock when you can't play this Flame Imp in your hand. You can't life tap.
And, well, you don't have any more flame.
Precarious
than Juggler.
position to say, if nothing else.
But I imagine that's the only option. You can't do really anything else. If you sacrifice all of your minions to trade with that, then you basically don't have any clock,
Yeah.
like any form of aggression on, on the board.
I wonder if he's thinking, if he just goes face and just hopes that this runs into his frogs for a couple turns. Maybe he can draw a Doomguard to then powerwhelming Doomguard to win the game, but
But
no,
the
he's
problem
gonna go
is
ahead.
the hero power from Shaman will be
It's
very
true.
powerful.
Yeah, the hero power can really mess up that plan. Does decide to trade off the powerwhelming and the more draws.
Well,
more
it's
draws.
not bad. It's
Yeah, no, that's actually great.
Well,
it gives him another effectively another turn just off this draw. It's not a dead draw at all. And
Let's see what
does
we'll
he
draw.
find? Totem
Oh,
Golem.
well-
That doesn't win the game on the spot.
that is terrible, actually.
But it's a powerful minion, and this is a board that is not. Oh, speaking of powerful
Oh
minions,
my.
both hexes are gone, and that's a Sea Giant.
well,
And that's-
this is the last chance for Ostkaka, I think.
Yeah, the damage that Ant is able to muster this turn, he can send 4 to face, putting Ostkaka to 11, and that will represent lethal next turn if Ostkaka does not draw a way to stop Sea Giant or kill Ant this turn.
But you need to kill the healing totem. You still have lethal for next turn, and whatever damage will be drawn from apart from Earthshock will still have to kill a minion, right? So if the minion gets killed, you don't have lethal. But it's very important to avoid the taunt totem from the hero power.
It does reduce the chances of taunt totem. It also potentially reduces the possibility of a Defender of Argus meaning something here, possibly. Though he could roll another totem, though that would do that as well, along with the Mana Tide. But yeah, this is. He does decide to take that out to try to avoid the possibility of. Oh, there's Doomhammer, but there's the 2 frogs in the way.
No way! So
Denied
close yet
by
so
frog.
far.
The wall of frogs keeps Ant alive. He needs a Stoneclaw right now.
Oh, he gets it!
Oh my god! And there it is. The Doomhammer takes down the frogs.
From 75%, I mean, from 66% to 75%, and unfortunately, Ant didn't
There
get it.
Oh, so now Ant needs an Abusive Sergeant. He needs
Doomguard?
something to do 2 damage.
Well,
Anything that
actually,
does 2 damage wins the
Abusive-
game.
Abusive Sergeant, is he winning?
Knife Juggler, no.
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 Wait, 10, 11? Wait, he can still win. No, wait, can he?
He can't. He dies to Flame Imp.
Oh, my. It's 10, that's only
He can't do
potential
it.
11 damage. That's not enough. There's no way of doing that.
What a crazy game this has been. The Doomhammer on the last possible turn. The Stoneclaw to keep him alive in the last possible turn.
Now we can see that the nerve of Knife Juggler is actually huge, because the one attack from the Juggler would actually mean that would be a 33% of winning the game right on the spot. That's quite unfortunate.
And because that's a Flame Imp, and he's at 1 life, he can't even get the Juggle to potentially force the damage through. He just has no way to do this here.
Hilarious game. Whoops. Well, that's about it.
And he tacks him down. And
Sudoku.
I want to see the flame in play for lethal.
Well,
Oh, he just life taps. And, wow.
wait, doesn't it make a draw if you play flame and you get double flame juggle to the face?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it actually it's
Does it
a
actually
draw.
work that way?
I think it's actually
Was
a
that
draw if you
possible?
play that. Yes.
Oh, I guess because it resolves everything
Battle
first.
Cry.
So I guess it was possible then if he had played that. If that's how it works.
That would be the first time that would actually have seen a draw in a competitive environment like DreamHack's, right? But unfortunately, Ant didn't go for it.
Yeah, well, I mean that was a really pretty amazing game. Sort of this back and forth where Ostkaka was narrowly hanging on, but we are now on to Ostkaka with his Shaman as his last deck. Ant going in to pick his Priest deck, and this is a matchup that I think for the Priest against the mid-range version, that card right there, Harrison Jones in his hand, is really crucial because Doomhammer is really one of the cards that defines this matchup.
I agree completely. And Tusker Totemic has actually a ridiculous chance of getting a Totem Golem from it, or it's like or a Manatite Totem, and both of those can bury the Priest under the card advantage. From on the Shaman side, because it's so important to get that value from the Tusker Totemic. So this might be also a crucial card in this
Yeah.
matchup.
So the turn 1 Cleric, I wonder if we'll see the answer of Coin Totem Golem from Ostkaka. That's one of the things that can really punish the turn 1 Cleric.
Yes, agree. Especially that you can curve out on turn 2 with the Argent Squire.
The scare is that if you use your coin to play Totem Golem and your opponent has Shadow Word Pain, you get pretty heavily punished because you effectively lose your first and second turns.
But there's a small chance that your opponent has the
It's
Shadow
true.
Word Pain.
Though you
turn 2,
might think
right?
it's a higher chance that he has Pain if he did choose to play Cleric turn 1.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
But Ostkaka does decide to just go ahead and coin out Totem Golem.
Well, he
And
mulliganed away 2 cards, right?
It's true.
So
it's true.
if you paid attention which card was played, you can also see that the Cleric have been kept in the opening hand.
Yeah.
So then the chances of getting Shadow Word Pain are less likely.
It's true. Yeah, and Ostkaka is going to reap the reward. Whoa!
Primal Infusion, I like that a lot.
All
This
right.
card is actually very powerful when you think about it. For 1 mana, a +3/+3, an example is not uncommon to see.
Yeah.
Especially since it's already +1/+1 because he played Totem Golem. Tusker Totemic, apart from the obvious fact that it's already spawning in a border advantage, it's also buffing the Primal Infusion, so it will be +2/+2. And then you have Manatite Totem, which is boosting the Primal Infusion to +3/+3, and you can use that on the Divine Shielded Minion, which is insane when you can trade it for free, basically. Right?
Yeah, so now Ant is kind of in a hole here. He needs to battle back from being behind both the Totem Golem in play and being down a card from his Northern Cleric being killed. Decides to go ahead and circle with his Blade Master. Does heal up the Totem Golem, and Ostkaka actually is the perfect answer with the Hex.
Yep. It's a great answer, and I don't think there's anything more important to Hex in, let's say, next 3 turns.
Yeah, and this is the power of the mid-range version of Shaman. It does have more of these answers to things like the Injured Blade Master Circle, which could otherwise be fairly punishing. And now, Ostkaka is ahead both on board and in terms of resources because Ant played his Cleric, he played the Blade Master and Circle, and Ostkaka has only expended Hex. Everything else is just still on the board.
Exactly, and I love this play because
Look at
first
this.
of all, you put pressure on the board, but at the same time, if your opponent has a way of clearing the board, you still don't lose the card for playing the Manatite Totem because it gets you the card back. And if it won't get punished right now, and it's turn 5, so for Ant, so there's no Couple Shadow Priest yet, you get double 2 cards from the Manatite Totem, which is insane value right now.
Yeah, and the Executed Evil, which is normally so powerful against the aggressive Shaman decks, here there's not only the Manatite, which has already done a card, but both the buffed Argent Squire and the Totem Golem will survive. The Totem Golem, thanks to the fact that it got Circle Healing.
Yeah, that's actually hilarious when you think about
It's just you Excavated Evil and now just get attacked for 6 again. It's really just a terrible situation for Ant here. He's under a lot of pressure. He's now also removed the only minion in play he could steal with Cabal Shadow Priest.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, and most likely there will be no target for the Shadow Word Death, because the only thing that can be killed is Thing from Below, actually.
Yeah. All right, well, we see what's coming off of this totemic. It's a
Well, not bad.
spell power totem. All right.
Not bad, I would say. You don't need to overextend the sport, so probably just hero power. Or he wants to set up lethal for next turn, because that's 3, 6, 9, 11, 12, 15 damage. So not quite...
Not quite lethal available
quite
next
lethal,
turn.
yeah.
This does actually also give his opponent a target for Cabal Shadow Priest. So it's kind of surprising that he did choose to play that, because it gives Ostkaka a value target there, when otherwise he'd only have a totem option.
Ooh.
Oh,
well,
look at
that's
that.
GG.
What time is it? It's Doomhammer time. 10 damage to the face, and that's game.
Can't touch this.
All right, well, Ostkaka had his back to the wall, but now his Shaman deck has taken 2 straight games, and we're going to game 5.
And from end, what do we have left? We have seen the Warlock, we have seen the Priest, and...
I believe it's Warrior.
And the Warrior, well, if you don't have an answer to Doomhammer, you might get punished. It, of course, depends on the build that the Warrior has, but I would say it's not an easy matchup for the Warrior when you're facing a mid-range Shaman with the hexes for your big minions,
Right.
with the thing from below, which can cost 0 mana basically with this deck. Manatee Totem is also very annoying because you have only 2 weapons that can punish it immediately.
All right, well, this looks to be a control warrior deck. We see Elise Starseeker, so that's typically a card that is indicative of a very heavily control-oriented warrior deck. And this is actually a kind of matchup that historically has been very much in the favor of mid-range Shaman, because mid-range Shaman can get so much value out of its hero power and the threat of just using those minions with Flame Tongue. We even saw that Ostkaka does have Thunderbluff Valiant in his deck,
Exactly.
which can
Thunderbluff
allow
Valiant.
just a board of totems to just, between that and Bloodlust, suddenly become lethal.
And the Thunderbluff, as you said, is very similar to just changes the dynamic of the matchup to... It's very similar then to the Paladin versus Contra Warrior, because you change your hero power into actually aggressive minions, which just stack up the damage, and they have something in addition to their bodies, right? So, which is basically way better than Paladin in this situation.
All right, well,
Not a great
Bloodlust,
opener,
Not.
but what I'm really
Ants opener.
surprised is that Ant didn't keep the Execute, because it's something that you rely heavily on if Shaman plays big minions, and you have seen that your opponent is playing mid-range Shaman. So I have to believe that there is the Faceless 7/7 somewhere.
Yeah, I think he may have just been looking to give himself the best chance of finding a Fiery War Axe to be able to deal with the early aggression.
But the
because
problem is, like, Fiery War Axe is not that impactful against this Shaman, because you have Argent Squires and
it's true.
Totem Golems.
Totem Golem, Argent Squire. It does deal with Feral Spirit, which is
Two,
able to
three.
protect some of their other minions as well. But I agree that it is not nearly as effective as it can be against a lot of other aggressive decks.
Well, there's Harrison Jones.
Yeah, Harrison can be a very big deal, as you mentioned earlier. Being able to shut down Doomhammer. Not only there's Doomhammer, so this game could very well be about museums.
Might be, but I will have to believe that Ostkaka will play around the Harrison Jones, because always Warriors have those cards,
Yes.
like always, and they, in addition, they will always have it in his hand when needed. But when you
That's
have
real tempting.
when you have 2 Rockbiters, you can't really put the Doomhammer to risk your plan
Right.
before you use those Rockbiters. So this is for me a turn 7 combo or turn 6 with the coin, just to deal the immediate 16 damage to the face.
At the same time, though, Ostkaka, his hand is Bloodlust, Doomhammer, Rockbiter, and very little else. Yeah, he's just going to go ahead and use a Rockbiter here just to clear through this Bloodhoof Brave. And if he doesn't draw some other minion next turn, it's possible that he'll just feel committed to playing Doomhammer.
Well, that's true, and then we'll see how it goes. But he has the Tangible Valiant, whether would you play that? It's overextending. Like, such
the
a
thing
really
is-
risky situation against the Brawl.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. I mean, he is in a position where he can actually just not really play anything else if this board did survive. It's not going to. There's going to be the Ravaging Pool coming down to clear things up. And now, I mean, this is a board that you could play Thunderbluff on, but that's really your only super exciting option. You could Flame Tongue, clear both opposing minions, and just make a totem. That's also not super exciting.
Yeah, it's not.
So, I mean,
This doesn't look good, to
frankly,
be
though,
honest.
Doomhammer's not even that good here either.
Yeah.
You're actually getting better trades from Flame Tongue than you would from Doomhammer, and you're running the risk, if you play Doomhammer, of just getting it sent to the museum and really just kind of throwing the game away if your opponent does have Harrison Jones.
You're getting buried under the card advantage.
This is a style of matchup where resources are of the utmost importance. This is a matchup that isn't about your health total. It's not about how much armor you build up. I mean, those things matter ultimately, but the key is the interaction of your cards and their cards. And if you're able to get Harrison Jones and hit a Doomhammer and draw so many cards and remove a key permanent from your opponent, you're just getting a huge, huge edge. And that has to be on Ostkaka's mind here as he's debating how he's going to play this turn. It is Doomhammer, though.
Doomhammer.
Oh, and you see Ant just rock back in his seat with a grin, and this is bad for the world champion.
This is bad news for everyone who played that card. It's like he's feeling the pain for
Is he just waiting to wow?
Oh, this will be painful.
Oh, there it is. There is Harrison Jones sending Doomhammer to the museum, drawing Ant 6 cards. He has a full hand.
Full hand, but what? Ostkaka usually doesn't like react at all to whatever is happening on the board. But
and then he even draws Blood to Ichor, which lets him value trade into this wolf. Suddenly, this game is absolutely Ant's to lose. That was a huge swing.
This is not looking good for Ostkaka. Like he blinked for like a long time. Just maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not the Harrison Jones. Maybe if I blink twice, it will be just a different card, and I will still have my Doomhammer. But it's not the case. And to be honest,
did I wake up yet? That didn't really happen, right?
Yeah, this looks terrible.
Yeah, this would be a great hand if you were able to play a long attrition-based game. Those Thunderbluff Valiants are great if you have time to build up a board of totems. But now, with your Doomhammer gone and your opponent with a huge handful of cards, you actually the onus is kind of on you to react to what he's doing, because you're behind.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not like a small misstep. It's just like you're on a back foot by a large margin.
Yeah, absolutely. This is kind of buried here under the weight of the advantage generated by. Look at the card count. Ostkaka has 20 cards left and has 15. He has so many more cards. And yeah, look at this. This exchange. This is not an exciting one. He just gets rid of Harrison Jones, but has to spend the Rockbiter to do it and expose his Flame Tongue Totem.
Which is basically 3 for 1 when you think about it. And your opponent did draw 6 cards from Harrison Jones, so it's like the biggest value I have ever seen.
Yeah, this is just an embarrassment of riches for Ant here. He has everything he could possibly want in his hand. Yeah, he has just a card to potentially start building up big armor total. He has Blood of Brave to defend himself. He has Grom to end the game. He has all the tools he could possibly need thanks to that 6-card draw of Harrison.
Also, when Ostkaka played the Rockbiter weapon, that basically gives the information for us and for the viewers as well. There's only one Doomhammer in that deck.
Well, maybe, because he also just obviously has to kill the 5/4. He can't just sit there and not do anything. He could possibly sit back and wait and hope to draw a second Doomhammer. Though at the same time, generally the mid-range Shaman decks don't necessarily play 2 copies. They usually are more likely to play 1 as it is.
Especially when you play double Thunderbluff Valiants, because they share the same spot.
That's
basically.
True. That is true. I agree with you. It's very likely that he probably doesn't have another copy of Doomhammer. But even if he drew that, he would be still very much buried here. Even Manatide.
Double Manatide.
Well, if those survive for 3 turns, he'll draw as many cards as he drew off of that Harrison.
Ragnar's next turn might be an option. Gorehole. Just deal 7 damage to the face.
Yeah,
just finish up next
Smork
turn
Howl.
with shield slam.
Yeah, he has so many resources, he could literally afford to just Gore Howl face. He doesn't even need to grind Ostkaka down here.
Exactly. Well, Hex is great, but in this matchup, but not when your opponent just plays a minion. It gets Hex. Well, I'll just replace it by playing another minion. It doesn't really matter what Ostkaka does. End has answer to everything.
I mean, this is he's going to go ahead and play Gore Howl, and I mean, I imagine he is going to play it slow. He's going to go ahead and take out these minions. Yeah,
he has 10 damage from Gromage next turn because the Shield Slam can be played on Gromage because it deals 7 damage. Well, never mind.
Yeah.
Now it deals 9.
Yep.
So he can activate Grom.
I mean, he has to be, potentially thinking about having to fight through Thing from Below or any number of things. Especially if Ostkaka did just draw 2 more cards with those Manatides and an additional card in his turn. So a lot more options than he had when his only play was really that Manatide.
Let's see what will be spawned. And there's a total.
Ooh, Dr. 3.
Well, that's a good play on turn.
Like 6 turns ago, that would have been great.
Yep.
But now, even a board of double Totem Golem is really not threatening to Ant here. He has, you know, he could brawl if he really wanted to.
That's not that bad.
I don't even know if he. Oh, he actually just drew Slam. The game's over.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually
he actually just
that's
has Grom,
actually an 18.
Slam is Grom, and then Gorehowl for 6 to the face. Slime comes in, and that is gonna be it.
Please finish it with the Gorehole to the face. Oh, no, no, deny.
The concede comes in too fast. Ostkaka's APM too strong.
Too strong. Well, they usually use the escape button, so it's faster, right?
It's true,
maybe,
it's true.
maybe like in Diablo hardcore mode when you alt F4.